I've been working many years with the plant medicine of cacao. I just returned a few days ago, actually, from Colombia, where I was staying with another tribe called the Arawako.
Did you feel you kind of went back in time when you were there?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there was no electricity, no running water. I think also movement is one of the most important things in my life.
Welcome to today's podcast. I have the pleasure today to be with Joey Greiner. We'll have a beautiful conversation about music, spirituality, cacao, meditation, and so many other topics linked to longevity. So please, Joey, please introduce yourself. I'm so grateful to have you today.
Hi, Jonathan. Thank you so much for inviting me to have this conversation with you. Really excited to chat. My name is Joey Greiner. I'm from New York. For many years, I've been working as an event producer. I've been a DJ in nightclubs and festivals. I work with ecstatic dance. I throw a monthly party in New York called Tribal Disco that we're going to have this weekend, where we have live musicians jamming on top of DJ sets. I've been guiding meditations for quite a few years now. And also as part of my spiritual practice, I've been working many years with the plant medicine of cacao, studying with the Mayan tradition of the Sutahil Maya people from Lake Aritlan in Guatemala. I just returned a few days ago, actually, from Colombia, where I was staying with another tribe called the Arawako in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And they actually grow cacao as well. And so I got to plant a cacao tree and
Nice.
take some fruits off the tree and go through the whole process of like preparing my own cacao and sharing a ceremony for this retreat and this indigenous family that was hosting us, which was really special for me. So many reasons. One, because I got to prepare the cacao from the tree to the beverage for the first time, but also I did the whole ceremony in Spanish.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
That's a first for me. Like, I'm definitely conversational in Spanish, feeling like very confident to speak to people about it, but leading a whole ceremony for an hour and a half completely in Spanish was a new one for me.
Let's start to talk about that.
Yeah.
So you just came back
A few days ago, 1 week ago, I've been back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the main purpose of your trip? Can you, because I think that's something you organize, so people join you in these trip?
Yes, this was a retreat that my friend Peter and I organized. And Peter is half Colombian. He lived there for about 3 years, and he's also been studying with this particular tribe and this family for about 6 years. So the Arawako are one of 4 indigenous tribes in the Sierra Nevada mountains in the north of Colombia. And they are super connected to the Earth's energy field. So they don't work with any psychedelics or plant medicines that a lot of people travel to South America to explore. The
You said that they do work with that,
do
or
not.
they do not? Okay,
No.
so they're okay.
So they chew coca leaves, which
Yeah, for altitude, right? For
we are up in the mountains, yeah, for energy, and it's also connected to their spiritual practice, to their words that they share, and so yeah, they chew coca leaves, but it's just a mild stimulant. It's like a little bit of like caffeine type energy. It's
yeah.
not psychoactive at all.
I've been to Peru and and to Bolivia, and that was the thing to do to avoid having headache and yeah, you kind of feel a little bit like a small buzz, but
Yeah.
not even, just enough to be chill.
Yeah, yeah. So being up in the Sierra Nevada mountains, you don't feel the altitude super strongly, but you definitely feel like energy there. So the mamos is what they call the spiritual leaders of those 4 tribes that are living in the Sierra Nevadas. So the Arawako, the Kogi, the Wiwa, and the 4th one I always mispronounce, so I'm going to leave it there. But yes, we stayed with the family of one of these mamos, the spiritual leader.
Okay.
2 of his sons and another apprentice were training to become spiritual leaders in that tradition. And then the family was a lot of kids, which was so beautiful to connect with the children there in that land. And it's basically like rainforest jungle up in the mountains.
Okay,
So
so like they have village, or basically it's a house in a tree, or it's
So where we stayed was about half an hour, 45-minute drive outside of like the nearest town, which is called
Okay.
Pueblo Bello. And the property where we stayed is an ecological reserve
Mm.
that was given back to the indigenous people to take care of after the Christian missionaries were kicked out in the 80s.
Mm.
So the church came in I think around 1910 or so, trying to convert and um, mission like convert the local tribes. And after I think in 1982 they kicked them out. So
Okay.
up in the mountains, these groups. These four tribes were never colonized because the Spanish never made it that high up in the mountains, and they were
Wow.
really able to preserve their traditions,
Wow.
which is really
Yeah, it's
special that
amazing.
they have
I'm
that
sure.
that lineage. And the tribe that we stayed with, the Arawako, are super connected to the land. They call the mountains where they live the Corazon del Mundo, or the Corazon del
Hmm.
Universo. So it's
Hmm.
the heart of the world, the heart of the universe. And
Hmm.
for them, that's their Garden of Eden. That's
Mm.
where life began. And they work with the ley lines of the planet. So the ley lines are individual lines across Earth's magnetic field that kind of connect sacred sites across the planet. So you've got pyramids in Egypt and Mexico and
Mm.
Cambodia, and the Earth has a measurable
Okay.
magnetic field, like a frequency and lines that go, like, I mean, we use compasses to know like where
Sure.
is north. We feel the
Sure.
magnetic pull of the planet going north, so we know that the Earth has a magnetic field. And
Hmm.
these ancient sites that were built thousands and thousands of years ago have this grid across the planet connecting these energetic uh, vortices. Like people say, oh, you go to Sedona, Arizona, and you
Yeah.
really feel the
Hmm.
energy there because it's a vortex, and the
Hmm.
Earth's magnetic field ley lines are crisscrossing, so that intersection creates a higher vibrational space.
Yes. And over there, it's like the same, you feel the same vibe, basically?
It's intense. Like I actually got really sick the first
Oh,
2 days.
wow.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
So I felt really heavy and drained, and
Because
needed to
like
sleep a
everything
lot.
dropped, like you're just grounded so much, and like the contrast is so big, probably.
Yeah, my body just felt so heavy and I felt
Mm.
so tired. And then after like the second day, I got a bath with herbs. So they filled this pot of hot water, steaming water, put a
Nice.
blanket over me, and I'm breathing it in. And after like 15, 20 minutes of that, I said, okay. And then they took the blanket off, and then they bathed me with the hot water with the herbs, and then told me to go sleep in my hammock for the rest of the day. And then
Hmm.
the next day I felt amazing. So
Nice. You
I
were
think,
purified.
yeah, my body just needed to calibrate
Reset.
to
Hmm.
the different magnetic charge there.
Sure.
Maybe I don't
Sure.
know, but
Sure. And you said something. You said that they are there's spiritual leader. So can
yes.
you define what do you mean like by spiritual leader in their part of their consciousness level, you know?
Yes, so the mamos are what they call the male spiritual leaders in these four tribes. The women spiritual leaders are called sagas, and Mamo Jose is uh, the man whose family that I stayed with for this trip, and um, they do consultations. We're doing one-on-one consultations with him, and he would ask like what our intentions were for the trip, and he would give us some advice on how to meditate, and what to think about. And we also hiked to the top of the mountain to find the source of the river, and we did like a water blessing there,
Nice.
connecting with the water there. And they do a lot of like storytelling, and
Hmm.
it's just like listening to them sharing about their cosmovision, their philosophy,
Hmm.
and their viewpoint on the world. And it's really special and beautiful. And since they weren't colonized, this is word of mouth tradition going back thousands of years.
Did you feel you kind of went back in time when you were there?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there was no electricity, no running water.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Okay.
well, I mean, they had a pump from the spring, but there was no like indoor plumbing. There
Okay.
was an outhouse. But yeah, I slept in a hammock for 10 days.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
sure you felt very grounded.
Oh, absolutely. We
Wow.
had to walk to the river to bathe every day, and the river was beautiful.
Mm.
There was a waterfall every 50 feet,
Oh,
like
wow.
small waterfalls, but there were so many of them. And
Yeah.
the kids were the best guides. They would take us like climbing up the waterfalls, and it was so much fun to hang out with the
Mm.
kids there.
And for example, you see, like, how old were the kids, you know? How old were they? Ballpark. Like,
There was a baby that was a few months old. Obviously, she wasn't like coming
no.
with us, but there was the youngest that was hanging out was like 3 or 4,
So,
but there was the 11-year-old was like our main guide. He was leading us everywhere. He was great. Then his
mm,
sister is 10, and then he has another brother that's 7 and another cousin that's
mm.
7.
You see,
So
so I mean, I was sure that you were about to tell me like that range of age, you know, and it made me realize how much like we're so protective, you know, and I mean our kid like if we when they have some space to, you know, to really explore and everything, I mean they can, I don't know, they can show us and teach us so many things, you know.
absolutely.
We need to let them a little bit more without any barrier, you know. So
Yeah, and they know how everything works there on the farm.
yeah, I'm sure.
So
I'm sure.
on,
I'm sure they know they know better how to lead animals than us, big
yeah,
time. You know.
they knew how to climb the tree and pick the ripe cacao
Hmm.
fruit. They knew which one was good, which one wasn't. They knew how to, after we toasted the cacao, how to take the shells off and then how to grind it. Like, 'cause
Hmm.
they don't grow a lot of cacao on this particular farm, but some of their family members on other pieces of land do, and some of their neighbors do. But they really grow a lot of coffee. Delicious coffee.
I'm sure.
I replaced my daily coffee with cacao about 4 years ago, but since I was there and they were making the coffee fresh from the land where they
Wow.
grew it right there, I had to drink the coffee there.
Yeah,
It was
of course.
phenomenal.
I'm sure.
And they grow their own sugar cane,
Mm.
so super fresh, all organic sugar there. They have banana trees everywhere, orange trees
Hmm.
everywhere. The avocados were out of season when we went there,
Okay.
which was unfortunate because I love avocados. But so much fresh food there on the land, and yeah, the kids knew how to pick the right cacao and use the machete, like, and it was a little jarring at first to see like an 11-year-old with a machete, but like it was no big deal. And I think
Hmm.
if you kind of show kids the proper way to do
Hmm.
things, it becomes less dangerous, less of a threat. It becomes like more normalized, and they take the responsibility on themselves to use it properly.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, so what was your biggest breakthrough? You know, like your biggest realization from that trip?
Oof. That I'm still going to be unpacking this one for a while.
Yeah. Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Oh yes, for sure. It was a lot. We had a wonderful group of people there with us that
Mm.
each had their own offerings that they were sharing as well. So it wasn't just um, observing and immersing ourselves in the traditions and the daily life of the Arawako family. But my friend Peter, that co-organized this trip with me, is an energy worker, an energy
Mm.
healer,
Oh
and
wow.
and he draws a lot of his energy from that land because um, the mamos, the spiritual leaders, they travel to sacred sites around the world and do kind of tours of visiting different places and sharing their wisdom. And do, they call them pagamentos, like payments, offerings to the land in the
Mm.
different places where they go. And they create a connection between the space that they're visiting and their home, the
Mm.
Corazon del Mundo and the
Mm.
mountains, and they're connecting those places and creating like a regenerative healing energy. Their mission is to heal the earth.
Wow.
So they're traveling to these sacred sites, trying to like
Traveling in
rebalance
like in Colombia or like in other countries or
in
other
other
part of it.
countries too, as
Oh
well.
wow,
Yes.
okay, okay, okay.
Yes.
Okay. And they do so and they have their ceremony and their healing process, I guess, or
Yes, yeah,
wow, okay.
it's not super ornate or ostentatious. It's like very simple, very low
Sure.
key, but they're doing deep, powerful work.
Amazing.
Yeah, their tradition is way more subtle than
Mm.
a lot of the other tribes that wear a lot of feathers and play a lot of music
Hmm.
and wear face paint, like which is beautiful. I love those traditions as well. Like I spend a
Hmm.
lot of time with some of the Brazilian tribes from the Amazon that
Mm.
paint their faces with the achiote and they're drinking ayahuasca and singing beautiful music, playing guitar. Like I love that. But the
Hmm.
Arawako are way more simple, way more low key. They're wearing all white, like just chewing their coca leaves, and they have a device called a poporo, which is a gourd that's hollowed out and filled with some seashells. So they're getting like a little bit of lime, and they have a stick that they're kind of like chewing on it, and then pasting the chewed lime on the outside of the gourd, and that's a way of meditation for them. It's a way of like
Mm.
connecting with their thoughts and their words. So they're always using it, and they're always kind of like speaking amongst one another. So it's really hard to perceive like
Mm.
what they're actually doing. Like
Okay.
the energetic work that they're doing is so subtle and under the radar.
Hmm.
So it's really like you have to be paying attention to kind of figure out what's going on.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. So I'm sure it was like a very spiritual retreat. Probably that was the most impactful on your
Yeah,
spirituality.
that was the goal was to connect with this land and really
Hmm.
have our own healing experiences by being in this high vibrational place and
Hmm.
immersing ourselves in the land and with this family and just connecting to the land, connecting to the energy there. That was like the main goal, but then we had other things that we're doing, like with my friend Peter, we were doing a lot of qigong. My friend
What's
Diana
the
was doing
qigong? What's
qigong
yeah,
is it's
the
means
music
energy
instrument?
work.
Oh,
Qigong is like Tai Chi. If you've heard of Tai
okay,
Chi,
okay.
like that's part of Qigong. Gong like
Mm.
Gong Fu, Kung Fu. It's like
Sure,
work.
sure, sure.
So Qigong means energy work. It's like Qi is the universal life force energy,
Mm.
and Gong is work or like the
Okay.
way of. So it's like kind of like um, an all-encompassing. It includes Tai Chi. It includes like I suppose you could say Reiki in itself is
Hmm.
also a way of Qigong. Like it's a way of channeling the universal life force energy known as Qi, Prana, Ki,
Hmm.
Kundalini. Like it's all the universal life force energy that runs through all things.
Wow.
So
So
we're
you see,
doing energy.
Joey, that's one of the things. The first time when we spoke, I got so attracted by your level of consciousness and spirituality that I wanted to have that conversation, and to
Yeah.
understand better like your philosophy, your way of thinking, and like so you go there, you've done like you've been so remote,
Mhm.
off the grid. So
Yeah.
when you come back here, like what what's how can I say that like do it make you appreciate something more? Does it make you realize like the reality is different than you were expecting, or like and how does it affect your you know your back to reality moment?
Yeah.
Because you
Well,
were so disconnected. I mean,
yes, it felt incredible to be so connected to nature and
mhm.
waking up with the roosters at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it was such an incredible experience to be there, completely disconnected. Um, and I'm a person who's addicted to my phone. So not
But
having
I
cell
think you're
phone,
the only one, by the way. So I
yeah,
know
yeah,
no one that is
yeah,
addicted to his phone.
yeah.
This
So
guy here is like, yeah.
absolutely. So not having reception signal out there was probably the single best thing for me.
Mm.
Is like knowing the only thing I can do with my phone is take pictures and videos, and
Yeah.
that's all I used it for. And that was such an amazing experience to just be fully present. And I think that's one of the strongest lessons that I'm taking back
Mm.
is to um, be more present in what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis and not constantly scrolling and checking for updates and
Hmm.
checking who's messaging me and
Thinking about the next thing to do or next thing to say or like
yeah.
the.
So in just a week back, that's been a big um, shift in my focus is just being more present in the moment. And
Hmm.
I don't think that's necessarily unique to this experience. Anyone who has the opportunity, if you're going to do like a Vipassana, like 10-day silent meditation retreat, obviously you're not on your phone.
Hmm.
So that is, you don't have to go all the way to the jungle in Colombia to disconnect from your phone for 10 days, but it
No.
definitely helps.
No, you're absolutely right. But sometimes you need to really get another perspective to realize some really, like some things that seems to be obvious, but it's sometimes it's hard to switch. Like it's easy. Everyone knows, like, oh, don't stop scrolling. Like, be in the present moment. But it's when
Yeah.
you have that experiment or experience that you really embody it. So,
Absolutely. And I think the kids were such a
mhm.
great influence on that. Like their
How's that?
imaginations,
Oh yeah.
just like, okay, now I'm Spider-Man and you're Batman, and like, or just playing in the waterfalls in the river
Mhm.
and just being so present in the moment
Mhm.
and not needing any kind of screen or video game or anything,
Yeah.
just really enjoying what we had in front of us in that moment. It was
Yeah. And
so
that's so
beautiful.
beautiful.
The joy that the children had of being
Mhm.
so present in the moment was super contagious.
Do you have kids?
I don't.
No?
I don't
Okay. So
yet.
I have a
I have
5 years old daughter and
I have a nephew. Yeah. But you have a, how old's your daughter? You said?
she's 5 years old. Yes.
Beautiful.
And it's so true. I mean, when we have moments, I mean, most of the majority of our moment, it's really like focus. But
Mhm.
I mean, you feel it. Like when you don't have your phone, you're like fully present. I mean, you just like I became, I come back as if I was a child again, and
Yeah.
you're connected so much. So
I think
that's
that's the
amazing.
secret to longevity.
But that's that was my I wanted to do a reference on that. So I mean, how do you see like how do you see the impact of the spirituality or being connected to earth link to longevity? I'm curious to have your thought on that.
Yeah, I think there's a spiritual element. There's also a lifestyle element as well. Because personally, the way I treat my body and the things that I consume, I try to be as organic and natural as possible. I've been vegan for 11 years.
Oh
I've
wow.
been eating as much organic as possible, using like personal hygienic products like the shampoo and conditioner and deodorant and all that. I try to use like as organic and natural as possible because so much of the food, well, you're in Canada, right? But in the US, there's a lot of talk in the last couple of weeks about the food additives, especially in the dyes used in cereal and candy and stuff like that. Like,
I didn't know that.
um,
No, I
yeah,
mean, I didn't know that there's something that there's more conversation on that.
absolutely. Really, in the last week or so, in Canada, for example, Fruit Loops, they use like blueberries and strawberries to dye the cereal, and in the U.S., it's red dye number 8, red dye number 11, artificial flavors, artificial colors, and we're not that far apart. But in Canada, they actually really care
Yeah.
about their citizens' health and protecting them
Oh
from
shit.
all of these substances and harmful
Yeah.
additives
All
and
the
food
compound. Yeah.
dyes. Exactly. And in Europe as well. But these multinational corporations, most of them based here in the US, they're also super entangled with the pharmaceutical companies, where they're also making money off us being sick.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
in Canada and Europe, there's so many better protections in food, but that we don't have yet currently in the U.S. But I'm very hopeful that there's a large conversation happening around it now in the last few weeks, and I know it's part of RFK Jr.'s agenda with the new administration next month. That I'm very hopeful that he'll be able to really
Yeah, to have positive change.
Exactly. And making America healthy again is that campaign slogan, and really going after all of these unnecessary food additives that are making people sick.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like a lot of people they kind of walk to life and they count on the government or they don't even think about that, so they consume products without being aware of what's going on. So I think it's so important to speak up and to make them aware of that, and then they can make their own decision. But if they don't know or they don't ask, then it affects completely their life. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, I didn't know that, so I'll check more into that. I'm super curious.
Yes, it's a story to be followed for sure.
Yeah,
But
and
going back, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was curious. Like, so, so you spoke about the food, and so tell me like, the spirituality. So, like, you're
For the spirituality, I want to get into the food of these
yes,
Celtic tribes
yeah,
because
yeah,
they,
absolutely.
they tend to have quite solid longevity as
Oh
well.
yeah, okay. Tell me more. I
Because
want to hear about.
they're not eating ultra processed foods. They're
Mm,
not
of
eating
course.
like all of these artificial sweeteners
Mm.
and um,
And are they vegan over there, or they eat
no,
meat?
they're raising their own chickens and
Mm.
cows, and they don't have a ton of meat, but they have like a fair amount of chicken. They have like
Mm.
a lot of chickens on their land, a lot of eggs,
Okay.
but largely plant-based meals. Like there was a lot of rice and lentils, lots of fruits
Mm-hmm.
right on their land there. They're growing bananas and oranges and sugarcane and coffee and cacao and avocados. So
Mm-hmm.
that's all dietary staples. I think they had some mango trees and some lemon trees as well. I planted a cacao tree and I planted a lemon tree.
So nice.
Yeah.
That should have been pretty cool.
Yes,
And
that felt awesome.
you did you see like see like a lot of older people, or so they have the tendency to live longer over there, you would say, or
Well, I stayed with one family in particular. And so Mama Jose has, I think, 7 kids, and then I don't know, 15 grandkids, something like that so far. So it's like a big family. I don't know
yeah.
exactly how old he is. I gotta ask. I don't think he's super old, but everyone tended to be in quite good health there, and
They're active, I'm sure.
yeah,
They're always walking, climbing.
absolutely.
So they don't drive. There's no car over there? I mean, you're in the jungle, right?
Yeah, so there are cars that can come and pick them up, like they can
Hmm.
call taxis or
Sure.
like motorcycle taxis as well. I think most of the cars that I saw there were Toyota Land Cruisers, which are great off-road vehicles. And
Absolutely.
yeah, Pueblo Bayo is the closest town, and that was a really cool experience because it was like half people dressed in normal, like everyday street clothes, and then half the people in like the traditional tribal getup, which is all it's basically white and sometimes white hats, sometimes chewing coca leaves, holding the poporo. They all have mochilas, which are beautiful hand woven bags, like over the shoulder bag
Okay.
pouches. That's a one of the ways that the women of the community earn money is by weaving these beautiful bags with
Mm.
really awesome patterns. So I bought a few and I brought a few back to the U.S. to sell, so I can send the money back
Oh,
to them.
nice. Ah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Great idea.
So yeah, in that town of Pueblo Bayo, there was a lot of like a mix of people because it's a busy town with like lots of stores and cars, and to see it so normalized that like half the people were dressed in like Western attire and half the people in like traditional tribal clothing. That was like
Hmm.
such a cool mix to see that in
Hmm.
somewhat of a not quite urban but almost setting.
Hmm. Yeah, that should have been pretty awesome.
Yes.
Nice. And so you've been there, but was it So because I want to hear more about the cacao tradition, you know, and so was
Oh,
it a
yeah.
cacao trip or it was more a spiritual trip that
It
you've
was
done?
more a spiritual trip.
Okay.
Cacao was my personal angle and my like contribution as one of
Okay.
the facilitators.
Okay.
So
Because I spoke to two of my friends about our conversation that we had the first time, and
Mhm.
I was trying to explain them, like, you know, like the you know, the whole picture about the cacao tradition, and I was terrible to explain it. So I
I would
would
be happy
love,
to elaborate.
so I
Yes,
can tell them, you know, please watch this section so they
yes.
can. So
It would be
yeah,
my pleasure to
okay.
explain that. I'm actually drinking some cacao right now,
Haha,
and
nice.
this is some of the cacao that I made
Oh
there in
wow.
Colombia. Yes, so I've got a bunch of it that I brought back with me. But so I met my Mayan teacher, Nana Marina Cruz, um, almost 5 years ago to the day. So, like, I met her at a holiday market at my old co-working space in New York City,
Okay.
where I'd been already attending cacao ceremonies for a few months at that point. My good friend Florencia Friedman is one of the people that really popularized cacao in New York and like the northeast of the US. She's originally from Argentina, but moved to the States when she was in high school and was a yoga teacher down in Guatemala for a retreat and got connected to the local Mayan people there, attended some cacao ceremonies and had some like Mayan cosmology readings and really just went full on studying with that family, particularly Nana Marina. And um, so after a few years of studying with Nana Marina, she learned how to do a cacao ceremony in that Mayan tradition. And with her brother Federico, they started their own cacao company called Cacao Laboratory. And
Okay, so that's the one that you the company that you referred to me.
yes, they're very good friends of mine. Brother and sister own the
And we'll put
company.
the link below also in the comments. So I mean, if people want to buy some cacao, they can buy it from them.
Yes, I've got a promo code as well.
Amazing. So make
Yes,
sure to give it to me after.
yes, definitely. So that cacao comes from Ecuador, but the fruit of cacao is indigenous to the Amazon, and it was growing all over in the rainforest, and then through different trade routes, uh, got made its way up to Mesoamerica. And it really got popularized with the Mayan culture. So the Mayans were on the east coast of Mexico, like where we call them the Maya Riviera, like Tulum, Cancun, Playa del
Yeah,
Carmen on that side, then down into Belize,
but
Guatemala.
Peru. So I've been to not Chichen Itza, but to damn, I don't remember the name, but like in what's the name in
In
Peru?
Mexico.
No, in
Oh, in
Peru.
Peru, Machu Picchu?
Yeah, Machu Picchu. Wow, I don't know
Yes.
why. So is it Mayan over there in Machu
No,
Picchu?
in Peru, it's the Inca.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not the same.
Not the same culture. No.
Okay.
In but Chichen Itza is Mayan.
Yeah,
That's in Mexico.
yeah, that's in Mexico.
Yes. So that's another beautiful big pyramid that was Mayan. On that east coast of Mexico, down into Belize, Guatemala, um, Honduras, and maybe a few more parts of Central and Mesoamerica there. So while in the Amazonian cultures they appreciated cacao, it's a delicious fruit that you can eat, and then the seed is what is turned into cacao or chocolate.
Okay, so it's the seed that
It's
we
the seed, yes.
and the
So
fruit. We can eat the fruit. I didn't.
exactly, yes. So
I
it
didn't
comes
even know
in
that.
a pod. It kind of looks like a small American football, and then when you open it, there's a strain of white fruitiness that they kind of taste like lychee. It's like very sweet, and so you eat the white fruity part, and then inside is the seed. And
Nice.
then what you do to make cacao or chocolate is you let those seeds ferment. So maybe you don't eat all the fruit, maybe you leave some of the fruit in there to allow the fermentation process with the sugars. And after about 6 days, then it's really fermented. And then you toast the seeds. And you got to constantly move them over heat for 45 minutes maybe, depending on how many seeds you're toasting at once. And then after you've toasted them, then you take the shells off, and then you can either grind them or roll them into a paste. And then you
Mm,
can form that into a bar of pure cacao,
sure.
or go ahead and make your beverage directly from there, like blending it with hot water.
So if you eat the seed like right from the fruit, does it taste a little bit cacao or not so
Not
much?
really. It tastes like a nut.
So how did they, make all of that process back in the days to find out the real taste of cacao? It's like
Yeah,
do
I
we
mean,
know? Like is there like a do we know like how it the first one that they
I
find out?
don't know who initially realized that
How
that's
they
how you could
realize
make
that?
cacao, how you could make chocolate. I don't know how, like, the first people that discovered it, but I do know that the Mayan civilization really loved it and really connected with it. So, to the point where they were using the cacao seeds as currency. Because
Really? I didn't know
yeah,
that.
because
Wow.
they're always roughly the same size and shape and the same weight.
Mm,
So it was, and the market price was relatively stable, so they could carry a
great
bunch of
then.
cacao seeds as a way of exchanging value
Nice. Yeah,
instead of
like
having to
gold or
carry
like
gold,
other.
much
Yeah,
lighter than gold.
for
So
sure.
yeah,
Huh.
so the tradition of working with cacao in the Mayan culture, as I've been taught, is they would use it for celebrations like weddings, birthdays, or when important decisions had to be made.
Mm,
Actually, a friend from Honduras shared a really cool story with me that when two people or two leaders of groups had a disagreement that they were really upset about, they would have to sit at a table, each with like a piping hot cup of cacao. And they would
okay.
have to talk it out, but they couldn't start talking until they drank the cacao. But they had to wait for the cacao to cool down before they could start drinking it.
That's-
So they're sitting there across from each other, having to just wait so their own emotions would cool
yeah.
down as well.
Mhm.
Like in that time of like having to
That's
take that
pretty smart.
pause. Yeah, exactly. So those
Mm,
were the times that they would drink it ritualistically, would be weddings, birthdays, when having to make
mhm.
important decisions. And on a day-to-day basis, they would have it in their homes, like inviting people over where you have guests, have a cup of hot chocolate, have a cup of coffee. Like
Mhm.
that would be like a daily way of consuming and appreciating it, but the ritual was more for special occasions.
Mm.
And
Okay.
the modern idea of a cacao ceremony is a newer invention.
Okay.
So there are plenty of tablets and statues and sculptures with telling the stories of the Mayans using cacao going back thousands of years.
Mhm.
But for the Mayans, their primary ceremony is fire, like working with the fire, and
Okay.
secondarily with tobacco, and cacao is kind of like the third thing,
Okay.
like the less important to their culture. It's still very important, but the traditional Mayan ceremony is really the fire ceremony, and they also
Mm.
work with tobacco a lot. They smoke these big puros, these like large cigars,
Mm.
and they are cleansing with the smoke. They're connecting. Almost
Mhm.
every culture in the world has every indigenous culture has a connection with tobacco.
Mm.
It's a sacred plant that they make offerings, they smoke it, they inhale it nasally, depending
Mhm.
on how it's been prepared. Different cultures around the world. The only ones that don't really are the ones where it was too cold
Mm.
to grow tobacco, like say the Inuit up in
Yeah, yeah, in
Alaska.
Alaska or
Yeah,
sure.
they're not growing tobacco there, so they're not working with it. But
And
most
when you say
cultures, what's that?
yeah, no, excuse me. So and when you say like cacao ceremony, like Mayan,
Hmm.
like what is it? Like is it like okay, they grind it and they do the paste and then
Well,
they create.
that's the preparation of creating the cacao to drink.
Okay, so
So
that's
right now, what I'm drinking here is 100% cacao and water, and that's it. Like
mm-hmm.
there's um, when people buy chocolate from the grocery store, they buy a bar of chocolate, like say dark chocolate, it's 70% cacao.
Yeah, 80%
And
or
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And then the rest will be sugar, sweetener, emulsifier, preservative,
Hmm.
sometimes milk, if they want a milk chocolate. So, but 100% cacao is you're just getting the bean and that's it.
Hmm. It's very bitter, like I like chocolate is my only treat that
Yeah.
I take, but when I take 100%, I mean it's super, it's like too bitter for I don't appreciate that much.
Yes, I completely understand. Um, so a lot of people, the idea of a cacao ceremony has become very popular, and you can find them very easily. Many of the people that are leading them don't necessarily have the connection to the lineage and the tradition. They're like, "Oh, I love chocolate. I love cacao. It's delicious, and I love this communal." Aspect of it and bringing people together and sharing a beverage, and there's often beautiful music shared and sometimes a meditation. And I think a lot of people's hearts are in the right place, but they might not have the education and the direct connection to the lineage of where it comes from.
Okay, okay.
So, a common theme for cacao ceremonies are a group of people generally sat in a circle, will share a cup of hot cacao to drink, and there was usually some kind of meditation, more often than not singing. There's a whole musical subgenre called referred to as medicine music or like medicine songs. So they're very popular songs that are sung in different kinds of ceremonies, from cacao to ayahuasca, wachuma, peyote. All of these different traditions have their own music. So
Okay, so the
people who
ceremony basically is not making the chocolate, it's more like
no,
drinking it together.
yes, exactly.
Oh, thank you so much for explaining that.
Yeah,
Because I thought it was really like, okay, I'm making I'm kind of preparing it. So,
yeah.
okay, so it's
Generally,
more like
it's
sharing.
yeah. So preparing it for the ceremony is definitely a ritual as well. And every morning when I make my own cacao to drink, that's my morning meditation.
Exact,
It,
exact, exact. It's more
so
like
it's
internal,
yes.
internal. Yeah, okay.
So if you were to order your cacao from Cacao Laboratory, you get a block of cacao at arriving at your house, and then you chop off how much you need from the brick. You can also
Okay,
get it in a pouch that's already been pre-ground. But for me, I like to buy the kilo, like
okay.
the big
The brick.
brick, and then yes, then I chop off how much I need for myself or from making a cup for someone else as well. And I'll sing to it as I cut it, like whether it's one of these medicine songs that I've learned for over the years, or
Of
just kind of
course.
a stream of consciousness, like my own energy, what my heart is wanting to share at the moment, and then boil some water and let it cool down a bit because you don't want it totally boiling, and then blend it. There's you can blend by hand. The immersion blenders are pretty good, but I think that the high speed blenders definitely get it like the frothiest and the smoothest. Uh,
Sure.
and then I'll take what I learned from the ceremony, the blessing part, which is connecting to the elements. So in the Mayan culture, they're so connected to the elements that make up life. So when I'm drinking my cup here, I'll lift it up. I'll give thanks to the heart of the sky, down below to the heart of the earth, to the heart of the water, to the heart of the fire, to the four directions, the four winds that I breathe, and then to the light within. That's like an abbreviated
Yeah.
blessing of connecting to the elements. We're also giving thanks to our ancestors, our guides, uh, all of the people that are involved in growing these trees of cacao and um, exporting and shipping the beans so we can enjoy this beverage. So it's uh, a connection to the process and
Yeah.
to the makeup of it.
Yeah, you know what I love is that it makes you in a state of appreciation. You know, like the gratitude is
Absolutely.
like when you just what you just said for me. It's like, you know, when you're such in a grateful, you know, mindset, and just make you appreciate everything more, and make everything that doesn't work according to plan, you know, like not important. It's all good. You know, you.
Absolutely. Yes, it's a time to be very present and to appreciate where it comes from. And working with cacao definitely made me think more about where my food comes from. And like, because I had been eating chocolate my whole life, but I had
Yes,
no idea what a cacao fruit looked
of
like,
course.
or the process of how it goes from fruit to the bean to the bar. And that's something that I only did for the first time hands on last week. But after being aware of it for a few years, like with my friends Florencia and Federico from Cacao Laboratory, I got to have a Zoom call with the farmer of the co-op where they source their cacao in Ecuador. So I got to see like the food forest there. So you have the cacao trees next to the avocado tree, next to the mango tree, next to the lemon tree, and all of those different trees are supporting each other. What we see in modern farming techniques is monocropping mostly. You'll see a field of entirely wheat or entirely corn or just one singular
Yeah, one
product,
single thing.
and that completely destroys the soil and makes the farms dependent on chemical fertilizers, chemical pesticides, GMO seeds, and gets them locked into that vicious cycle of being dependent on agribusiness like a Monsanto or something like that, which is completely
Yeah,
destroying the soil and creating a product that has no nutritional benefit.
yeah, absolutely.
So this connection to cacao really made me a lot more aware of where the food that I consume comes from. And as
You
we
know,
get into, yeah, go ahead.
yeah. No, excuse me. And you know, it remind me. Last year, I've been to the biohacking event. It's every year, and it's hosted by Dave Asprey.
Hmm.
And Dave Asprey is very into longevity and biohacking. And I attend. He did like a ceremony, a coffee ceremony, because
Hmm.
he's got like a new brand of coffee, Danger Coffee. And I was curious. I went there, and I was like, and I was not expecting that, but he was like what you explained to me about like your meditation and the way you, when you prep your chocolate and you cut it and it make you more mindful. Like he did the same, but with the coffee bean, you know.
Hmm.
So he was grinding the coffee and explaining us, and he was like super intentional. And I found that was like it was beautiful, you know.
Yeah.
Just make you like appreciate the moment, and it made me realize that, you know, you have cacao, he's got the coffee, but I mean, and my lovely wife, I mean, she loves the birds, you know. So for her, every morning she go feed the birds, she go outside, even if it's freezing right now in Canada, and she goes there, and that's her ritual, you know.
Hmm.
I think it's like a way to connect with nature and with yourself, and I feel like even if you don't like cacao or coffee, I mean, everyone can kind of find their own anchor point every day to have that sort of a, you know, ritual. So
Absolutely. The
just
ritual
wanted to share
is the
that.
key. You can create your own ritual around almost anything. It can
Exactly.
be around journaling, it can be around like just taking deep breaths, just creating that time for yourself and to shut out the outside world and to be present in the moment, go internally and just let all of your stress and your worries and your troubles dissipate for a few minutes. And yeah, this ritual can be anything. Like I even find like washing dishes can be a meditation because like I'm just turning off the
Yeah.
outside world, doing something just like manually with my hands. It could be knitting, it could be all of these things, but you can create a meditation and a ritual to be present with so many different things.
Yeah. But you see, I see it's like two different thing, you know, like meditating is one thing. So you're washing, you're doing something, you're in your flow state, you're with yourself. But I feel when you when you do something, let's say with your cacao or with the nature, when
Yes.
you go to the element,
Hmm.
either the animal or the nature or like a fruit, or it just, I think it makes you like more connected to the earth and the chance that we
Absolutely.
have. So when you're washing your dishes, you're internally maybe meditating, but
You
are
also have the
you
water rushing over your hands as well. You're
maybe,
connected.
if you're that much in the moment, like,
Yeah.
okay, the drop of water, thank you for the water for
Yeah.
coming from the pipe and everything, and like, and you, so yeah, if you're in that moment, for sure. But yeah, I mean, and that's so important. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I met Dave Asprey last year at Burning Man. He gave
oh
a talk.
wow,
He gave a talk at my camp.
seriously, okay, tell me more.
So the key takeaways that I got from his talk there were mostly about like I think NMN and NAD and stuff like that. I mean now he's got a new product that he's supporting, but in
Mm,
that talk he was like you don't need it. You can just get the cheaper version of some of the vitamins and I don't know. It was interesting. I used to really like Dave Asprey a lot because I loved that he was talking about with his bulletproof coffee about soil and mold
mhm,
spores and things
yes.
like that, getting like the best quality coffee. But then he said some things about vegans that I didn't take so kindly. So I kind of stopped being such a big fan. But
Mhm.
he's done a lot for the biohacking community and
So
got
who's your mentor on the longevity or space, by curiosity? Or who mentor, or who you really look more right now, or
there are a few people that I think are really interesting. I think David Sinclair was the one who really got me most interested hearing him on Joe Rogan's podcast a few years ago.
Mm.
So that's when I first heard about like NMN and NAD and all of like
Mhm.
the tests that he's been conducting at Harvard, and that was like super interesting to me. Also enjoy Andrew Huberman's podcast. He's got a lot of
Mhm.
great guests on there,
Mhm.
but also I'm more of a naturalistic person where I don't take like a ton of artificial supplements. So I'm
Mhm.
definitely more curious about doing things with just having the healthiest kind of natural foods
Mhm.
with like the most organic, the most connected to the earth.
Mhm.
So that's kind of been my approach where I'm studying with so many amazing indigenous teachers.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So, I do want to loop back around to what you were sharing about like the coffee ceremony and the
Mhm.
gratitude of the cacao ceremony, because I would
Absolutely.
like to complete
The
the
loop.
story of cacao as well. Yes.
Absolutely. Go ahead. Yeah,
So you were
absolutely.
talking about gratitude and appreciation,
Mhm.
but so in the cacao ceremony, we are focusing on gratitude and love and appreciation because cacao is known as a heart opener,
Mm.
and both energetically and chemically. So um, the scientific name, the Latin name for cacao, is Theobroma cacao, and theobromine is the active ingredient. So it gives a subtle time released energy as opposed to there's a little bit of caffeine in there but not nearly
Mm.
as much as coffee. When
Sure.
people drink a lot of coffee they get that spike of caffeine and then the
And
crash
the crash.
afterwards. So
Mhm.
the theobromine is a lot more subtle and longer lasting, so it's
Mm.
not as sharp but it won't have the same crash.
Mm.
So there's the combination of the theobromine and the magnesium. There's a lot of magnesium in cacao,
Mhm.
which most of our modern diets are deficient in magnesium. So
Mm.
if you have cacao, dark chocolate, that's going to help out a lot with that. That helps with your sleep. But the combination of the theobromine and the magnesium give it a really beautiful time released energy. There's also anandamide, which is known as like the bliss molecule.
Mm.
And
I didn't know that.
yeah,
What's that exactly?
I'm not super um, caught up on all of the
Sure, sure, sure.
different elements of
But
it,
when you say
but
bliss, what do you
bliss,
mean? Like
like joy, like
okay, okay,
happiness.
okay,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah. So it's a neurotransmitter,
Mm.
and we know that people, when they're stressed out, they go for a bar of chocolate, and there's no
Mhm.
mistake there that eating chocolate makes you feel better, because
Yeah,
it's
there's an emotional connection.
absolutely, there's a lot of, you can get a lot of dopamine from it. So that's a natural chemical process. So from the physical consumption of it, it's known as a heart opener because it's also a vasodilator. So it expands your blood vessels. It gets your
Mhm.
blood pumping a little bit faster, a little bit stronger. You kind of feel a warmth on the inside. It's kind of like a warm hug from the inside as well. And energetically, it opens your heart chakra. It makes you feel more gratitude, more love, more compassion.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's part of like the ceremony and the ritual of it, is connecting to what you're grateful for. And when
Mhm.
you're in a space of gratitude, it's almost impossible to be upset when you're grateful.
I think it's impossible.
Yeah.
I think you cannot be. It's like either or. Like not either or, but it's one or the other. I mean, it's yeah. And I feel what you're just saying. I mean, it's not just the act of like the ceremony itself, but the fact that you're doing it with that, with chocolate, that the compound, like just make you feel happy also. So you're just like internally more in a state of gratitude and appreciation, and it's warm also. So I'm
Mhm.
sure, it just make you more, I don't know, like comfy, or I don't know how
Yeah.
to say it.
I,
So
I think for
we're open,
people that,
like.
yeah, people that might be a little bit less spiritually inclined will
Hmm.
still feel the physical benefits.
Hmm. Hmm.
So people who don't necessarily believe in chakras or energy centers or more of the spiritual elements, they can still receive the physical benefits, and they'll
Hmm.
still feel, oh yeah, I actually do feel warm on the inside. I actually do have like this sense of well-being and positivity, and I do feel grateful for this moment. So even if they don't necessarily believe, oh, my heart center is opening wide and my aura, my energetic field is connecting with people around me, if they don't believe in that, that's
That's
totally
okay.
cool. Yeah, because they're still getting the benefits.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so nice. So
Hmm.
I gotta try it. I mean, and you see, I'm really grateful of a lot of things in my life, and pretty much I live in a state of gratefulness.
Hmm.
And hearing our conversation, I feel I need to be more in the present moment. Like I think that it's like I'm a lot, jumping from one thing to the other and the other and the other. So I'm always appreciating everything, but I
Yeah,
like, just to be more like maybe connecting with myself. So it's a good reminder, our conversation, and
absolutely.
yeah. So I used to do like green juice in the morning. So I
Mhm.
was cutting my celery, and I kind of felt like the same vibe, like
That's a
my
ritual.
my
Absolutely.
friend and girlfriend, my love, she was like, wow, okay, it's taking you a lot of time. And I was like, you know what, I know I'm doing something good for my body.
Hmm.
And it's like, yes, it's like a 10-15 minutes. And but I clean, even if I wash my juicer, I was like, I felt like, yeah. So it was like that ritual. And I stopped it for a couple of weeks. I was traveling a lot, actually like 2 months.
Hmm.
So just a good reminder, like I'll start this, I will start it again,
Yeah,
by tomorrow. So
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really important to have rituals. I think we're so busy in our modern lives, and things moving so quickly, and our brains aren't necessarily equipped for the speed of life right now. So we evolved uh, 160,000 years ago, something like that, at this same brain power that we have now, and up until just about 100 years ago, life was slow,
Yeah.
and people had to take time to do things, and
Hmm. Hmm.
that's how our brains are wired still. Like,
Hmm.
we haven't adapted to the speed of technology fully yet. We can't process thoughts and things at the same speed as computers. We're just not. adapted for that yet. I
No.
mean, who knows what's going to happen in the next few years, but for now, we still have the same biology that we did
Yeah.
160,000 years ago.
We're so hooked to like instant gratification,
Yeah.
like, okay, I send you a text message, boom, you're waiting, okay, easy. Did he reply to me? It's just like, let's let's just flow with it.
Yeah.
So what's your trick? How do you like, is it now like it's just like internally and you just live in that state all the time, or you have some habit, or how do you know, I don't know if you
Yeah.
feel like what
Um, I definitely think I'm blessed to be an overall positive person. I think that I generally tend to have a positive outlook on life, and I think that maybe has to do with the family that I grew up with, or just like environmental things. I don't know, but I'm generally like a pretty happy person mostly. But of course, I get bummed out like everybody else. There's things that upset me for sure. And I think keeping that ritual and routine of like starting every morning with my cup of cacao is definitely a great way to start the day. I think also movement is one of the most important things in my life. I go to the gym 5 days a week. If I don't, I don't feel good. Like that's just so important to me, is to know that I have to go and without fail. Like if I miss one day, then I'll double it up like the next day. So
double it up like in
like
terms
doing
of
two
like the
workouts.
time? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, right now I'm doing a routine that I got from this trainer. His name is Don Saladino. He's based here in New York, but this workout he designed for another Canadian actually,
Okay.
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh yeah,
So
really?
this is the Deadpool workout. So
Okay.
Don Saladino is the personal trainer for Ryan Reynolds, Blake
Oh wow.
Lively, Sebastian Stan, who played like the Winter Soldier.
Mm.
So he's worked with a lot of like Hollywood celebrities. So right now I'm doing this 9 week program, 5 days a week,
Okay.
to transform my body to look like Deadpool. Hopefully not
Nice.
the skin, but like the muscles.
Is it do you lift weight, or it's more
Yes.
like a body weight workout?
So the way Don schedules his workouts is the first three exercises are like mobility, which
Okay.
is strength, balance, and flexibility.
Amazing.
So that's been a trend that I'm really excited about in the fitness industry. Like I've been lifting weights since I was 14. Like going to the gym, playing high school sports, like going in the weight room, like and reading men's health magazines and muscle and fitness magazines, to like copying the workouts there. And they're all okay workouts, but really just I would say in the last year since I've been following these specific kind of workouts with this trainer with Don Saladino, and he just came out with a really cool app last month that has all the workouts and the instructional videos, and you can track your weights, how much you're lifting, all in the app,
Okay.
which is really
Pretty
cool.
cool.
But mobility, especially now that I'm 39 and maybe not as flexible as I used to be, and I know that's such a big part of longevity um, is flexibility, especially spinal flexibility. So there's another program that I signed up for online, I think called Moves Method. It is just primal movement and like doing exercises and movements and stretches, but it's not necessarily stretches as it's movement through the weaker elements in our body's movement chains.
Okay.
So we're
What do
not
you mean the weaker? I don't get what you
so
mean.
um, we're not moving as animals per se, where they have like complete
Yeah.
freedom of
Flow.
expression and they are moving as they're evolutionarily designed to. Nowadays, we're not climbing things. We're not putting our bodies under extreme stresses. Like the reason that people are doing hot and cold exposure is putting that stressors on our body to boost our immune systems, and that's contributing to longevity. So um, doing mobility work is maybe I don't have great balance and I can't do a single leg squat. Like I can't like do a squat just balancing on one leg. So with mobility, you're going into saying, okay, my hips are really tight or my knees are a little bit weak. So you're going in and doing these kind of weird animalistic movements that they're kind of stretches.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're crawling. Sometimes you're like spinning around on the floor, but you're really recognizing where maybe my shoulders are really tight
Yeah.
or my chest is kind of weak. So you're doing all of these movements that they're tough, but you got to like build up to them. But after a couple of weeks, you're like, wow, like I I don't have this piece of my movement where I get stuck. Like some people can um, do a part of a movement and then another part of a movement, but in that middle portion, their musculature freezes up or tightens up because they don't have that range of motion. So what you're targeting with these exercises is complete fluidity of being able to pick something up and lift it overhead and putting it on the other side without having that part where you get stuck because you have a weak set of muscles at some point. So you're building up all of those little muscles in between that get
Yeah.
overlooked.
Wow, that's nice. And that's a program that you're following online, basically. It's like a
Yes.
online courses.
That's an online course. I believe the couple are from Australia. That one's called Moves Method.
Okay.
But there are so many programs that I'm getting
Absolutely. Yeah.
ads for on Instagram and social media. But this one I just happened to like the way it was marketed, and it seemed like a good product. So I've been really enjoying doing their 15 to 20-minute routines every day of just really kind of making myself uncomfortable to make myself stronger. And so it's like
Absolutely.
a little bit of stretching, but in a little bit of like workout and almost kind of feels like breakdancing sometimes too, like the way you're kind of like moving around the floor. So it's a way that I think as we're starting to age and realize that we don't have the flexibility that younger people do, it's a
Yeah.
way to like get stronger and stay stronger.
Yeah, I would say like since 2 years, I had a mindset switch in terms of like working out and exercising. Now I really see like, before it was more like, okay, how do my body looks like? And I was according a lot of my confidence with like, okay, if I have more muscle, I'll be more confident. But then, it's just like mental stuff.
Yeah.
And
I still have that. I
yeah,
think we're around the same age, and I think we
yeah,
grew up at the time where millennials were like, okay, Brad Pitt in Fight Club or
yeah,
Troy,
exactly.
or like Gerard Butler in the 300. Like, this is what a man should look like.
Like what's the deal to have like super big muscle and not being able to to do any movement? So
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah, so that's so important. And like yeah, so that's one of the thing. And I believe like having coaches or following program, it's a great way to kind of make you sure you got the rhythm and like
Accountability.
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Creating that routine for yourself.
Yeah,
And
and one of the thing I wanted to say is like I was to so I just went back from Costa Rica. I did like a stem cell therapy over there, and they had like a place where they had like a VO2 max, like set up so you can calculate it. I've not done it, but and then they said like one of the two main driver like that they were calculating to see like your longevity was VO2 max, so and the grip testing.
yes, I
Yeah,
was also thinking grip strength is also
yeah,
key in
and
longevity.
and they had like a really like medical grip tester. I have one home here, and it's like super basic, but like they had something really cool. So I try it, and funny enough, I realized like I was like I'm very good. Like the number that it gave me, I think it was 65 kilogram. And I look on the chart, and it's like it's very good. And one of the doctor was, he had like big pipe, and he looked like shred, like super strong. He tried it like crazy, and he was like maybe at 52 or 49, like so
Wow.
way below. And I was like, okay, so, and we're like exchanging about that. I was like super I was like surprised. And and it really explained me that, it's more like the nerve system also, and like your strength is not also, how can I'm not able to explain it, but it's like the loop that I wanted to do. It's really like what we look like doesn't mean that we are strong, If you
Absolutely.
look strong, it doesn't mean that you're strong. So it was a good reality check that I've done, and just make me realize, okay, just keep doing it, and measure it over time, so you can see like the right, like the right way to not to measure by what your body or your weight is, but more on key marker, like the grip testing, for example.
Absolutely. Yeah, grip strength is not as important in bodybuilding. So they have like straps that you can put around your wrist and your hand to hold way heavier weight to build up your other muscles, but your hands can't quite hold on to that grip. And then you see people that are climbers that they look super skinny, but they
Yeah.
have the strongest grip strength that
Yeah.
you can imagine. Like they can hold on to their whole body
I
weight with
know.
like
I
two
know.
fingers.
One of my best friend is a climber, and I
Yeah.
mean, you would love to speak to him. He's like, you guys you have the same vibe,
Yeah.
and man, this G, I mean, he's like super strong. He can do like 100 push-up, like,
Hmm.
and he doesn't look like super. I mean, he looks strong, but I mean,
Yeah.
he's pretty skinny, So it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, the body weight exercises are key. So yeah, a lot of like big jacked bodybuilders can't do a lot of the things that climbers can. Like they can't like the human flag, like holding onto a pole and then holding yourself completely horizontal,
Yeah.
and or handstands and things like that. That's a lot of that is mobility as well. A lot of mobility training and some yoga postures as well. I was just thinking one of my good friends that I think you would love to chat with, my friend Jonathan Brookins, is a former UFC fighter. And he trained up in Montreal with Georges St. Pierre.
Oh yeah.
He,
Wow.
he
Okay.
won the Ultimate Fighter TV show, and Georges
Okay.
St. Pierre was his coach. So he went up to Montreal
Oh
to
wow.
train with Georges until he tore his ACL, and that ended his fighting career. But he's a personal trainer here in New York City, and also very
Has he tried?
spiritual.
Has he tried stem cell therapy by curiosity, or?
I think that you can ask him. But he already yoga and spirituality was like a big part of his practice. Even when he was in the UFC, they were like, "Oh, he's the fighter that does yoga."
Okay.
Yeah, and I actually met him in an ayahuasca ceremony.
Okay.
And yeah, we've become good friends since then. But since I also have a knee injury, and I've been to the gym to train with him a few times, and we've done a lot of like really cool mobility stuff, like different. There's a great guy, Ben Patrick, knees over toes guy,
Okay.
who rehabilitated a crazy knee injury and now can slam dunk a basketball.
Wow.
And so a lot of those kind of exercises that are somewhat counterintuitive to traditional bodybuilding, like in terms of range of motion and things like that. So to develop strength in the knees and other joints that are very prone to injury.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And so you said ayahuasca like 2 times. I'm curious. Like, do you have you tried it a couple of times or?
I think I've done it about 15 times at this point.
15.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have
All
friends that
right.
have done it thousands of times, but
Okay.
yeah.
And do you know 5-DMO?
5-MeO DMT,
Yeah.
that one?
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
I have not tried that one yet. It
Okay.
hasn't called to me.
Okay.
5-MeO DMT is a much shorter and much more intense experience. And there's a few reasons why I haven't tried it yet. One is because I'm vegan and it comes from
From where?
a frog.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's a
Okay.
secretion from the glands of the Sonoran desert toad.
So, and the reason why I bring that up, it's one of my business mentor. He's
Hmm.
very spiritual, and he's learning right now how to facilitate that. So he's done it like many times, and he want to like to do it for friends and like be able to facilitate it.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I was curious to to hear more about that. So.
So yeah, I'm trying to be more open-minded and less judgmental in these kinds of spaces. Like I'm
Mm.
a traditionalist where after years of study, I was given the blessing by my Mayan teacher, who's the spiritual leader of her community, to share the medicine of cacao. Like I have a direct lineage that these are my teachers. This is what
Mm-hmm.
I'm sharing. I've been given a blessing by the Mayan people to share about their cosmovision, about their culture
Mm-hmm.
in this context. With Bufo is the common name for this 5-MeO-DMT. Bufo olivaris is the scientific name from the secretions of the Sonoran desert toad, and there is not a indigenous tradition of working with this. This is just in the last couple of decades that people have been discovering that. So, I mean, there's many years of experimental psychedelics, like going back many decades of people taking LSD and
Mm-hmm.
just exploring on their own. I mean, that's kind of how I stumbled into psychedelics as well. Like, I think I was 16 or 17 the first time I ate mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my first spiritual awakening, feeling connected with everything in the universe and feeling like oneness. But I was a 16-year-old kid, like with
Yeah.
no guidance into what I was doing.
Sure.
And that's very different from the lineage of working with plant medicine like ayahuasca. So I've helped organize ceremonies and offered translation or singing medicine music and assisting in these ceremonies. I have no intention of becoming a shaman
Mm-hmm.
and sharing ayahuasca in these kinds of containers. It takes decades or almost a lifetime of experience of working with these energies and these realms to be able to create a safe container for these
Mm-hmm.
people. You're opening up people energetically
Mm-hmm.
to a whole nother realm. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I think it can be dangerous for
Mm-hmm.
people who don't have the right training or years of experience under the right guidance and the right lineage, that it can be very dangerous of what you're opening up people to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm very, very
Cautious about that.
cautious of who I will
Yes.
sit in a ceremony with
Yes.
because, like,
Even now, like in when you do ayahuasca, you will be
yes,
very cautious on of like the person that is the shaman basically, or
absolutely,
even
yeah.
like the people surrounding you. Like,
So a little bit less the people surrounding me, more the person that's holding the space of the container.
okay,
The shaman, I won't go unless I know this person is from an indigenous lineage and
mm,
uh, grew up in the Amazon,
mm,
drinking this plant since they were children, and they have this lineage of, oh,
yeah,
my grandfather was the
yeah,
medicine
from
man, the shaman,
the
and like
roots.
going back for my people thousands of years. Like this is that's that feels safe to me. Like knowing that they have
Mm-hmm.
this relationship with this other realm because
Mm-hmm.
you're not necessarily fully present in this 3D space. You're going somewhere else. And
Mm-hmm.
there's other energies there. So if the person that is leading that doesn't have a strong control of the container, you can open up energies and
So when you
beings.
say container, you what do you mean container? Like
The
the
container, like the ceremony, like
okay,
the set and setting.
sure.
So I work exclusively with indigenous shamans, spiritual leaders that have this family lineage or a lifetime of working with this medicine. And they start drinking ayahuasca at a young age, so they're open to that spirit realm and they know how to navigate it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there are many, many cases of Westerners that spent a few months in Peru and now they're
Mm-hmm.
calling themselves a shaman.
Yeah.
And now they're hosting their own ceremonies, charging thousands of dollars. And people can have transformative experiences for sure. I mean, the medicine is the medicine. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
drinking this compound that is
Mm-hmm.
going to open up parts of your brain and take you to another realm.
Mm.
And if the right person is not leading that, it can be dangerous. So
And have you done it in the US or you always go like somewhere else?
I've done it in the US.
Okay, so you found like people that you trusted basically even here.
Yes, people
Mm.
visiting here, not people that live
Ah,
here, people that
okay.
are from the Amazon
Okay, okay,
that
okay.
will do tours and they'll share their music or their storytelling in like public containers, and then there will be smaller, more intimate
Mm.
settings where they'll host a ritual or a
So
ceremony.
would you so would you say doing ayahuasca, even if you're in like in a good setup with a good shaman, and like, would you say it can be dangerous, or you feel like if, or like, I'm
So
curious.
the first time I did it was outside of the U.S. I was in Guatemala, and I was not planning to do it there. I was
Mm.
there for the Mayan New Year. Like I was studying with my Mayan teachers,
Mm.
and there were different indigenous elders from different tradition. Like there were two lovely Mexica grandmothers from Mexico, where we did a Temazcal sweat lodge with them, which was awesome. And then there was an Apache grandmother from Arizona,
Mm.
and she shared her storytelling and her cosmovision of her people. And then there was a chief from Brazil, from the Amazon, from the Hunikuin tribe, and he was sharing about their cosmovision. And so, going back to the beginning of the use of ayahuasca, it was only the shaman that would drink the medicine, and
Mm.
then they
Mm.
would get into that spirit realm and be able to read your energy and
Mm.
see what kind of healing you needed.
Mm.
So using what they call icaros, or healing songs, they would read the energy of the person and channel that
Mm.
healing energy to vibrationally heal that person's energetic imbalances or remove attachments or blockages. And for almost forever, that was how the ceremony would go. Only the medicine person would drink the medicine
Ah, I didn't know that.
and
Okay, okay.
transfer the healing that way. But about 30, 40 years ago, a lot of the shamans were getting the same message from the medicine. It's that planet Earth is in trouble, and
Mm.
the environment is in trouble, the Amazon is in trouble.
Mm.
So we need to start sharing the medicine with more people, because when you drink ayahuasca, you're connected to the spirit of the jungle. You feel the spirit of the forest. Feel the spirit. You feel the spirit of planet Earth, and
Mm-hmm.
you feel the connection to it, and you want to protect it.
Mm.
So the medicine told the shamans to share it with more
Yeah.
people,
Mm-hmm.
because then more people will feel the
Can heal the
connection
planet.
and then
Mm-hmm.
feel the desire to preserve and protect the planet.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So that was the first time that I tried it, was there in Guatemala, and then with because I felt very safe around all of like the Mayan family and all of these other elders. And then I came back to the States a few months later and met
Mm.
some other people from the Amazon in Brazil, another tribe, and I um, saw their concert and got to meet them and
Mm-hmm.
learn about their culture. And then I was invited to a private ceremony that they were doing, and that was outside on top of a mountain. That was beautiful,
I'm
and
sure.
that was another amazing experience. And then I came home to New York, and then I heard about another ceremony with another shaman from the first tribe that I sat with, from the Hunikuin, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about doing it in the city.
Mm-hmm.
But so I went to his concert, and I received hape from him. I don't know if you've heard of hape. It's a
No.
tobacco snuff. So it's the ash of burned tobacco leaves, usually mixed with another plant. It could be with,
The ash of the tobacco, when
yes,
it's burned, the ashes, and what do you
yes.
do with that?
It gets blown up your nose with a pipe.
Okay.
So if you're being served, it's a long, thin pipe that they'll do one nostril at a time,
Okay.
and that can have a very grounding effect where you're very present in your body, or it can kind of blast you into higher realms.
Okay.
And so you can have someone serve it to you, or you can have
Or
like
you take.
a self applicator, which is kind of like a little boomerang shape where you put
Okay.
the ash in one end and then you blow it up your nose with the
It's
other.
kind of weird to take ashes in your.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not a pleasant experience at first.
No.
I'd never put anything up my nose before. Like I've never done cocaine or any like nose
Yeah,
drugs like that. So it was like very strange for me
I'm
to
sure.
feel something going up my nose. Like I knew it was tobacco and I knew it was like a sacred healing. So I had that for the first time with that first shaman in my trip to Guatemala because that's very connected to those cultures. So if you're
Mm.
working with ayahuasca, a lot of times they will
Hmm.
open your channel, open the portal with the tobacco.
Mm.
So with the hape, they blow it up your nose, and then your nose is obviously running a lot. You got to blow your nose a lot, and sometimes that can already cause people to purge. So a common
Mm.
side effect of ayahuasca and sometimes hape is vomiting.
Yeah, yeah, I heard that that it was not so pleasant after basically. Yeah.
Yes. So it's the process of purging is both a physical and an energetic
Mm.
release. So you drink the medicine, and then maybe 45 minutes or so later, your stomach starts to rumble, and you're not feeling so good.
Hmm.
And it stays like that for a little while. You're not going to necessarily purge right away, but you're also in silence usually in the first hour or so. So you're
Hmm.
really alone with your thoughts. I mean, you're in a group of people, but like
Hmm.
it's
Yeah,
silence, maybe like
internal
some
internal work.
minimal chanting from the shaman, but
Hmm.
generally like you're nobody's talking and you're in your own experience. And then you start to think about things in your life. You can think
Hmm.
about your problems, your worries, your troubles,
Hmm.
and most people should have an intention when they're going
Hmm.
into these
Yeah, and
ceremonies.
that's what I heard also. When you go there with an intention first, then
Mhm.
kind of guide your. But you see, that's the when I spoke to my mentor about that, he told me like and maybe it's controversial, I don't know, but I mean, he said that Bufo, there's no ego, and when you do, when you do the ceremony with like ayahuasca, there's like still ego, and it's maybe not intentional, but it's still like you have the shaman that is telling you what to do, and it's like he's not God, but he's like you know, and I was talking about like ex- like my thought like that I heard that when you do that you need to give an intention, and
Mhm.
he told me that again that's the same thing, when you do bufo it's like you don't really necessarily do an intention, it's more like you're just I don't know in that
So
oneness I guess.
uh,
So
I'm
what's your thought?
happy to explain the difference between ayahuasca and bufo. So
Yeah, please do, I want to
DM,
have a different perspective,
yeah, DMT is dimethyltryptamine, and that is the molecule that is produced by your pineal gland when you're born and when you die. So it
Okay.
is your connection. They call it the spirit molecule. It is your connection outside of your physical body to higher realms of existence.
So to do a parenthesis, so is that so? He told me also that when you because I saw two-person that they had a near-death experience
Hmm.
and they really disconnect, their soul and their body,
Yes.
and then they reconnect together. And he told me that that's kind of in the same, that's the same thing that create that, or can you
With
no?
ayahuasca, you don't necessarily have out of body experiences, but I've heard
But more with
people.
Bufo that was saying
Bufo,
me.
yes. So that's 5-MeO, 5-methyl
Mhm.
oxidase
Exactly.
DMT. So it's a different variation of the same molecule. So with ayahuasca, it is the combination of a vine and a leaf. So if we were to just ingest the ayahuasca vine, our liver would not process it. So when you add the leaf to it, that blocks the enzyme in your liver, allowing you to have those visions, allowing your body to absorb and process the DMT. So since it happens through your digestive tract,
But
it
you said the
takes
DMT, so you have DMT also in the ayahuasca, or
that is the active ingredient in ayahuasca. It is DMT.
in Bufo it's the same thing?
Bufo is 5-MeO DMT. So it's
Mm.
um, more potent and not quite as long lasting. So ayahuasca is through you ingest it, so your body has to process it. It goes through your liver, and that takes maybe 45 minutes to an hour to kick
Okay.
in, and
Okay.
before it starts. And an ayahuasca ceremony is all night.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
starts 9, 10 p.m., goes till 5, 6 in the morning.
Okay.
Bufo, 15, 20 minutes.
Like the whole
Yeah.
deal, like the whole thing. Okay. Wow.
So with ayahuasca, you have a shaman that's been experienced navigating this realm and able to guide you energetically. He's not necessarily telling you think about something, like you have your own intention. You don't share
Okay.
your intention if you don't want to. Like I think generally people in the integration circle the following morning can share about that kind of thing, but going into it you don't necessarily share your intention.
Okay.
And
Okay.
there's
Okay.
not guidance from the shaman. I mean, I think out of all of the shamans that I've sat with in all my ceremonies, only one spoke English.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
Okay. So anyway.
yeah. So
Mm.
there's usually a translator, of course, but
Mm-hmm.
you're not getting guidance. Like there's not ego from the shaman usually
Okay.
if it's a
Okay.
traditional
Okay.
ceremony. So they're able to
Okay. So he's
navigate.
not playing God on you and say,
No,
okay, oh,
no,
you
not
do
at all.
this, and okay, okay, okay.
Well, at least in the traditional senses. Like
Sure, sure,
there's
sure.
plenty of people that have co-opted this medicine to create their own ceremony, and when they feel the power of the medicine, they're like, "Oh
Hmm.
my God, this is my calling. Like I have to be a shaman
Yeah.
now." And that's really dangerous.
Yeah.
And that is a lot of also what you see with people serving bufo,
Hmm.
because there's
Okay.
no indigenous lineage of working with bufo. There's no proper training like historically. So it with ayahuasca, it's a little bit longer of a process to get to these places where you're experiencing these profound breakthroughs in your subconscious.
Hmm.
And like similarly to the clinical testing you see of people with resistant depression taking psilocybin or MDMA, they're able to process these difficult emotions and traumas of like childhood abuse or
Hmm.
things like that, and in a state where the medicine is filling your body with dopamine and serotonin, and like you're feeling good and you're feeling safe and you're feeling protected, so
Hmm.
your subconscious can unpack these traumatic things that have happened to you, and you have a few hours to like go through this process of like unpacking these things from your subconscious that you might not have thought about. You're like, oh my God, this is
Hmm.
affecting my life this way because this happened to me. And then all of a sudden, you have to throw up. And
Hmm.
then as
Yeah.
you're purging and
Yeah.
releasing this,
Like
um,
you let
you
it go.
you're letting go exactly. And
Hmm.
then sometimes you look in the bucket, there's only like that much vomit, but you're like, I felt like such a big release, and it's way more of an energetic release
Sure.
than a physical release. And compared with Bufo, which I'm saying I personally haven't experienced it, but from what I've heard from many people is that you have what's referred to as an ego death. So you're completely separated from your being for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and it's super short, super intense, and you see your life flash between your eyes, you feel separated from your body, from your ego, and you can have these very profound and life-changing experiences. Some people have reported very healing things where they've been able to release and let go of things that were holding onto them, but it's not necessarily the same as with ayahuasca because you have a couple hours to like process these things. And with Bufo, you're going through a really intense experience in a very short amount of time. So
Hmm.
it's a
Hmm.
very different experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. It's like it's very intriguing.
Absolutely.
So, but does it like is it only because it's like you're vegan and you don't want to take some substance from frog, or you think
That's
it's like
part of it,
a
but
good excuse so you there's something else that that make you, I would say, scared or not wanted to do it or not sure?
Well, also, I don't trust any of these facilitators.
Okay.
That's a big part of it as well. Like this has all been very experimental, and I
You don't trust in which way, what would be a trustable way to do it, or if you
so
know.
as I shared these shamans that have these traceable lineages going back hundreds, if not thousands of years of working with the medicine of ayahuasca, connecting with that spirit of the jungle, spirit of Mother Earth, that's a lineage and a training and a calling, a vocation. And I don't want to have an out of body experience with Mike or Steve, like
Sure.
they're a guy who has experimented with it on their own and had these profound experiences,
Yeah, yeah.
and now they're a self-proclaimed shaman. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't I'm trying to like not have judgment for that. I'm not telling people don't do it. I'm saying I don't personally feel called at this point in my life.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
might be curious at some point where I want to have that experience, and maybe I will meet someone
You'll feel
that
safe.
I will develop some sort of trust with, that has
Mm-hmm.
been working with it for a while. But up until this point, I haven't met anyone that
Yeah,
I feel called to work with this
yeah.
particular substance with.
Yeah, no, it's funny that we have that conversation because, and what my mentor told me is really what called him to do to learn how to facilitate that. It's actually one of the main reason why of what you're saying. He's like, it's like the setup and like with the people that you are, it's so important. And the key thing that he told me, it's like the integration after.
Hmm.
Like when you do this, he saw so many people doing it, and then boom, going back to normal life, like without the integration part of it.
Yeah.
So it's like you need like a full day after, just like to decompress and really like make your, so and that's yeah. So and it just like it kind of triggered my curiosity, but and then I was like, sometime I kind of feel like you can have these, and I'm not sure, but when you do like a really deep meditation,
Hmm.
you can feel really connected. Of course, it's not probably not the same, absolutely not the same feeling, but I don't know. It's intriguing.
Yeah, I think integration is incredibly important to any of these psychedelic experiences for sure. Like most of the ayahuasca ceremonies that I've participated in will have like a sharing circle in the morning afterwards, where everyone will have
Yeah,
a chance to share like key
experience.
takeaways, key breakthroughs, and generally you have to like limit what people
Yeah,
want to talk. Everyone wants to express their gratitude, so you have to like say, okay, the gratitude is implied. You don't have to thank everyone every time, like, and just for the sake of giving everyone the opportunity to speak. But yeah, generally people are feeling very grateful for the experience, but they want to share some key takeaways. Maybe they had a a moment of forgiveness with a relative or something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
true, true.
or
Yeah,
some
everybody has their own experience.
exactly.
So, Joey, do you feel you need to do that to live beyond 100?
I don't know that I feel that I need to do it, but I
Well,
love,
I mean, ayahuasca or
yeah,
like
yeah.
to do, yeah, deep stuff like that. You feel it's important or?
I think having a spiritual practice is important for sure. Like feeling connected to something bigger than yourself,
Yeah.
and I feel like this ability to connect to this other plane of existence where you're more in touch with nature and with yourself definitely contributes to
To
wanting
longevity.
to live longer, to being healthier, and people that are dismissive of the benefits of ayahuasca spiritually still um, credit its medical benefits in terms of removing toxins from the body. So the purgative effects of releasing things through the vomiting process, even scientists don't deny that you're releasing things from the body that maybe shouldn't be there. So its cleansing effects do have a measurable medical benefit as well.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I love that.
Yeah.
So, do you have other longevity practice that you would like to share by curiosity? We talk about meditation a little
Yeah.
bit, connecting, movement. We talk about diet also. I mean, is there other aspect that you
Yeah, I
you feel,
dabble in exposure therapy, like cold plunge and sauna.
so you do it?
Yes, not consistently, but frequently. Not like every week, but maybe a couple times a month. And yeah, I would say uh, music and movement and dance is such a big part of my life as
You're
well.
a DJ, right?
I am a DJ. Yes, that's been
Nice.
like the longest thread of my adult life that's consistent.
That's
Is
why I see you grooving like that, You're like, it's in your vibe. So,
Absolutely. I feel music moving through my body at all times. And um, I would say being in that state of release on the dance floor and having that joy and fun and freedom of expression is absolutely crucial to my longevity, at least. Like that, being able to move my body and express myself and have that experience of a flow state of fun and joy and sharing the energy with other people on the dance floor. For me as the DJ, I'm giving and taking energy. So I'm putting a song out there and seeing how people react to it. And if they like that, then I'm going to do more of that. And if
yeah.
they don't necessarily vibe with that, I'm going to change it up. So it's a conversation, it's a sharing. Like, um, I could play a 7 hour DJ set and at the end be more wide awake and energized when I started because I'm receiving energy from seeing how much people are enjoying it. So, yeah, usually after I DJ, I can't sleep right away, even if
But that, it make me think sleep is so important. But when you speak
absolutely.
about DJing and like that, I mean, maybe it's that lifestyle. I mean, does it affect your sleep like crazy, or you're able to counterbalance somewhere else? Or
I've never been a morning person,
okay,
so
so you just shift your
yes,
sleep.
absolutely. So I've been working as a professional DJ for almost 20 years now,
Okay,
and so I'm able to stay out late and do my thing on the dance floor in the nightclubs, and then I can sleep. I'll still get my 8 hours. I wake
okay,
up at noon, 1 o'clock, and start my day then. But I'm not out that late every night. Maybe once or twice a week.
okay.
But yeah,
But I
sleep is
feel the
definitely
passion
big.
also. I feel like I think the music, but it's also like having that sense of like passion and like that you're full you feel really fulfilled, and I think
Absolutely.
this is really really important for living longer also.
Yes, definitely. There's uh, gratitude to it, appreciation that I get to do this, like uh, creative expression. I think having some kind of a creative outlet is crucial to longevity as well. Some way to share with other people or just share with yourself, whether it's drawing or painting or journaling, just some way to have a creative expression. Could be pottery or writing your own songs. If you
Yeah.
share it with other people, even better, or if it's just for you, that's great too. But I think having a way to activate the creative parts of your brain and your spirit and to be able to just create something is so energizing and revitalizing that I would hope everyone has some sort of creative outlet in their life.
That's nice, amazing. So I'm so grateful for our conversation. Is there so like I mean I'm curious, is there other things that you would like to share that you have on your heart today?
Wow, I mean, we covered a lot of ground. I
Yeah,
was not
absolutely.
expecting to get so
Me
deep
neither. I'm so
into
grateful.
the plant medicine world, and I mean, I love to talk about these things. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of longevity, I would say the things that are most important to my practice are my spiritual practice, which we
Hmm.
definitely covered, meditation, mindfulness. I think next month is January, and I will probably lead another Instagram live meditation challenge, which I've been doing for the last 4 years, I think.
So
On
what is
Instagram
it?
live, I have a different guest facilitator guiding a meditation every night for them. I think I started in 2021, so do 21 days, 21 minutes of meditation with
Okay,
21 different guides, and I've added a minute every year.
nice.
So maybe I'll do 25 days of 25 minutes this January. So that's something that I'm really interested in, is discovering new ways of going
Hmm.
within and connecting with yourself, or
Hmm.
connecting with higher realms. So meditation, mindfulness, these different practices of, could be guided visualization, breath work, energy work, all of these different
Mm.
modalities. It's really interesting and exciting for me
Yeah.
to explore those. And if someone can try different ones and then find one that really resonates with them, and that can become
Hmm.
part of their daily practice, their daily routine, to,
Mm.
if they want to do breath work every day, or they want to do mindfulness, or they want to do energy work. So all of these things are incredible tools, and maybe not every single one resonates with everyone.
Oh, I mean, but everyone can. I mean, you're very inspiring, Joey. Thank you so much. I mean, it's like I think like if people if the people like listen and watch it until like this moment, that would be like I'm sure like they would really find like that. You're so true to yourself. You're like so grounded. You're like you're an amazing
I
person.
appreciate that very
No,
much, Jonathan.
truly.
Thank you so much.
And like, how do so? Do you work with people? Like, what's your do you have how can people can connect with you or like?
Yeah, so I hold in-person events here in New York City a couple times a month. I do cacao ceremonies like
Mm,
2 or 3 times a month. I host an in-person men's circle once a month,
okay, so
which
what's that?
it is an opportunity for men to gather together and share what's going on in their lives in a
Okay,
space
nice.
free from judgment, and free from stress of having to impress other people, or
Mm-hmm.
put on a strong, tough face for the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys can really just be themselves and be vulnerable, and realize that what they're going through isn't necessarily unique to them, and maybe someone
Mm-hmm.
else has had a similar experience and has some expertise, or guidance to share, or just someone to listen and
Mm-hmm.
not judge. So we have
Nice.
different topics, different themes each month, and oftentimes we don't even get to the topic or theme because the conversation is so
Just flow
good.
in a different way and
Yeah. So
ah, that's
there can
cool.
be exercises in like leadership and rites of passage and
Mm.
initiations. So coming up, we'll have some longer experiences. We'll be doing some retreats with men's work, where we'll incorporate rites of passage and initiation, like going through um, doing hard things together,
Mm.
like the way people in the military come through boot camp, and they
Mm-hmm.
feel that sense of achievement,
Mm-hmm.
accomplishment, camaraderie. Um, Much of our modern culture is devoid of these initiations and these rites of passage from, say, boyhood into manhood. And
Mm-hmm.
um, I think biologically with women, it's a lot much more clear when
Mm.
their bodies are developing and becoming a woman
A
from
woman, yeah.
their reproductive changes. And
Mm-hmm.
with men, sometimes there's religious
Yeah.
things like a bar mitzvah or a
Mm-hmm.
confirmation, but we
Mm-hmm.
don't have that. Send
Or
the
it's an
boy out.
event. It's an event that shape your life, and just make you okay. Now I'm a man,
Yeah.
It's like,
So
but otherwise,
we don't have this send the boy out into the jungle with a spear, and he can't come back until he's killed an animal or
yeah.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then then when he comes back, he's one of the men of the tribe. Like, we don't
Mm-hmm.
have that kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
to create these experiences, whether it's being out in nature and like chopping down wood and building something out of it, or having some kind of ritual combat where you put on boxing gloves and just test what you're made of against another man, just to have that experience of like just being really alive. And so
Oh,
there's,
that's cool.
yeah, there's a lot of different ways to go through this. So
Nice. So you got the cacao ceremony, you got your men's circle.
yes,
I'm sure you will do probably other retreat,
yes.
cacao retreat or spiritual retreat also,
Yes, definitely more
in
retreats
25.
coming. I love to bring people to stay with the indigenous tribes where we can learn from them and also support them financially from being there in their space, and having a beautiful cultural exchange there. I love to collaborate with other facilitators to put together great retreat experiences, combining different modalities. So there will definitely be more to come. And also, very recently, I've launched one-on-one coaching.
Oh, nice. Okay,
So,
amazing. So we'll make sure to include that also in the description. So and they
yes.
can reach out on Instagram, I guess.
Yes, there's a link in my Instagram bio to schedule a discovery call. And
Amazing. So you want to coach like a life coach or a spiritual coach, or
yeah,
what's your
so
what would be the best person, or like just so people can
yeah, so that's been such a journey for me, is getting comfortable with like the nomenclature of coaching. And do I want to call myself a coach? Because there's everyone and their mom is a life coach now. And maybe I'm more of a holistic lifestyle guide or
yeah, yeah.
consultant. But yes, so
No, but I mean the coach name. I mean it's still you can still keep it. It's more like okay, so which so it's more holistic and
yeah, I think a lot of it is spiritual, for
I
um,
love it. I
yeah,
love it.
developing like a personal practice of connecting with yourself, with your goals, with what you want. I have some experience with neural manifestation. I've been a student of a program called To Be Magnetic for many years, about learning how to manifest and create things in your life. So that'll be a part of it. My diet and exercise and lifestyle type things have been such a part
Yeah.
of my own experience, where I have this wealth of knowledge that I would love to share with people. And
Absolutely. I mean, you share so much wisdom in that conversation. I mean, I feel, yeah, I feel it. That's amazing. I think you people would benefit a lot from your guidance and
I
just like
appreciate that.
exchanging with you. And
Yeah, so if people resonate with my energy, with what I have to share, if you feel like uh, you could learn something from working with me, I'm very happy to have a discovery call and see what you're looking for, what your needs are, and see if it would be a good fit to work together.
amazing, amazing. Wow, thank you so much for today. Really appreciate it. And
Been a
is
pleasure.
there something else you would like to share, or
I think we
I think
covered a lot.
we
So
cover a lot, my
yeah,
friend. So thank you very much,
yeah.
and it will be a pleasure to speak again soon.
I appreciate the invitation, Jonathan. Thank you so much. It was
Absolutely.
so much fun speaking with you. And all right, if you want to do this again in French, I'm down to do that as well.